One of the first things I'm going to make this week is some trail mix. I mentioned in other videos that John is really busy during this time and he spends a lot of time driving around for his job, and he needs something in his car that he can snack on that will fill him up. So I thought trail mix would be a good thing to have, and I thought maybe it would be cheaper if I just made it myself and I could make a lot of it. So he isn't big on nuts, but he does like peanuts. If I was making this for myself, I would probably put a variety of nuts and some different things in there, but I got the things that he likes. And if you want to make trail mix, you can pretty much put whatever you want in there. I have some of the 50% less roasted and salted peanuts. These are so good. They're from Trader Joe's. And then I have some golden raisins, some of the dried baby sweet pineapple. We've never tried this, but John said he wanted some dried pineapple in there and it sounded good. And then we have dried cranberry and then some chocolate chips. He said definitely put chocolate chips in there. So I'm just going to kind of throw it all together until it looks right. I don't think there's any like magic measurements or anything, and make a big batch of it. And I do have some more stuff in the pantry so I can make more of it throughout the month, but I'll just mix these up and kind of see what he thinks of it. Okay, this is the trail mix that I came up with, and hopefully this will last for the week or at least a few days. I cut up some of these because they're a little bit larger. I just use my kitchen scissors to cut them up. And if you want to make something similar, I just used like half the bag of the dried pineapple. I used about a cup of cranberries, a cup of raisins, half the bag of peanuts because those are the only nuts in there. And then I probably used like between a quarter and a half of a cup of chocolate chips. I didn't put a ton in there, but just to add a little sweetness that he wanted. And that's it. I mean, you can really just add whatever you want, but I think this is a great snack. And if he does like this, I'll probably get a canister to keep it in so that it stays nice and fresh. I am getting ready to make some homemade applesauce, and my home is going to smell amazing soon. I have 3 pounds of apples here. I'm just going to remove the core. I'm going to leave the skins on, and I'm going to slice them, add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a half of a cup of water, all to my slow cooker, and cook it on low. Okay, I have my sliced apples in my slow cooker with a half of a cup of water, and then I sprinkled 2 teaspoons of cinnamon over top. I'm going to cook it on low. These are my apples after, I think it's been about 5.5 hours, so they're really soft and you can break them up with a fork really easily. I am going to let them cool a little bit, and then I'm going to process them in my food processor just a little bit so they get nice and smooth. I don't have an immersion blender, or that would be perfect. If you have one, you could probably just use that in here. They're still really hot because they are steaming. I just put about half of the apples in my food processor, and I'm just going to pulse them just for a little bit because I don't want them to get too mushy. Okay, so I just processed half of the apples for about 20 seconds, and it's still a little bit chunky. I might do it for a little bit longer, but as you can see, they're so soft that you don't want to process them too long. Okay, so I put my applesauce in individual containers, and I'm going to pop it in the fridge. Mine is this color because of the cinnamon, just in case you're wondering. If you don't add cinnamon, of course, it's going to be a lighter color. And now I'm going to prep my lemons. I have 2 pounds of organic lemons, and I've already washed them. I'm going to cut some of them into wedges for my water. I'm going to keep some in the refrigerator, but you can freeze them, and they thaw out really quickly in your water, and it's just like having a fresh lemon wedge in your water. Okay, so I sliced my lemons. I have some that I'll put in my refrigerator and some that will go in the freezer. And then I'm going to juice the rest of my lemons, but before I juice them, I'm going to zest them. I love lemon zest in vegetables and things, and sometimes I use it for baking. I already had this in the freezer, So it's just a nice way to use all of the lemons. It is easier if you zest them before you juice them because it's easier to zest the lemons when they're whole. And as you can see, this was just in my freezer. It doesn't all stick together, so if you need to measure it, it's really easy to, you know, stick a teaspoon in there and get a teaspoon of lemon zest for a recipe. So I will do that before I juice them. So I got that much lemon zest, so I'm just going to add it to the bag and stick it in the freezer. And now I'm going to juice all of these lemons. I just cut them in half because obviously you need to do that to juice them. I went ahead and juiced all of my lemons, so I have my lemon juice here, and I like to freeze my lemon juice so that I can put it in with vegetables or recipes. I usually measure 1 tablespoon out and put it into each one of these, and that way if I need a tablespoon for a recipe, I know exactly how much is in each cube. Okay, so I have 12 cubes or 12 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I'll just pop that in my freezer. And then I did save these. These are great for putting in your garbage disposal, and then your kitchen smells nice and fresh and clean. I'm getting ready to blanch some peppers before I freeze them. It is recommended that you blanch peppers, and this will kill the bacteria and also help them to maintain their nutrients. So I cut mine all into strips because I find that's the best way. I usually use them in strips or chop them. And then I kept some for salads this week. And my water is boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and add my peppers and put them in there for 3 minutes. I can't get too close because it will fog up the camera lens, but you'll just blanch them for like 2 to 3 minutes if they are in strips, and I think a little longer if you just do half peppers. And then you'll place them in a bowl of really cold ice water and let them sit in there for the same amount of time that you blanch them. And once your 3 minutes is up, you'll just want to drain your peppers really well before you freeze them. I had a bunch of these whole wheat flour tortillas in my freezer, and I want to go ahead and use them up because I don't have any plans for them for dinners this month. So I am going to make some cinnamon sugar flour tortilla chips. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I haven't made these in a really long time, so I don't really remember what I did, but how hard can it really be, right? So I'm going to melt some butter and brush that on these. I have quite a bit. I think I have like 16 tortillas here. So I melted about 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter because I have a lot of tortillas here to cover, and I'm going to brush these first before I cut them just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, I have my first batch ready to go. I'm going to have to do them in batches because I have a lot of tortillas here. It looks like 2 to 3 tablespoons of melted butter is plenty for all of the tortillas I have. And then I just mixed together some cinnamon and sugar. I didn't really measure it, and it kind of depends on how many tortillas you have. But I just sprinkled that over the top after I brushed them with a little bit of melted butter. I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to set the timer for 8 minutes because I have no idea how long these are going to take. They might take a little longer, and I will let you know for sure how long they take. So I ended up baking them for 12 minutes, but I did want to mention, in case you want to make these, the whole wheat tortillas from Trader Joe's are thicker than the regular ones that you get, so they might not take as long. So maybe set your timer for like 7 or 8 minutes and then check them and make sure they don't burn. So these look to be pretty good. I can't try them because I have to eat gluten-free, so I'll put a little description of what my guys think of these when they get home and try them. Also this week I made a batch of pepperoni rolls for my boys' lunches. They love these. I recorded the recipe and how to make them and everything, so I will put the link below. They are a great thing for kids' lunches. You can freeze them. They're really easy to freeze. I usually wrap them up so that they don't stick together in the freezer, and then they're all wrapped for lunch bags anyway. So I'm just going to let these cool before I wrap them up. And I also made some frozen pizzas. I did a whole video on this, so I will link it below. They're actually really easy to make. There's just one little trick to do so that you can freeze them, and they are just like buying a frozen pizza, but they are a lot healthier and a lot cheaper. I'm also going to refill my taco seasoning. Usually I have this jar full of taco seasoning and I can just use it when I need it. I really like making it from scratch because it's super easy and you know there aren't any weird fillers in there or weird ingredients. I use Alton Brown's recipe from the Food Network, and I will put a link to his recipe below. I have it typed out here. It's 6 tablespoons of chili powder, 3 tablespoons of ground cumin, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon plus 1.5 teaspoons of hot smoked paprika, 1 tablespoon of ground coriander, and 1.5 teaspoons of cayenne pepper. I might have doubled the recipe on his site, but you can easily do that. And then you use about 1/3 of a cup for each pound of meat. I have mentioned this recipe before, and a few people said that it was a little on the spicy side. You can leave out the cayenne pepper. It is spicy. I think it has awesome flavor. I don't think it's too spicy, but I like spicy food. So you can definitely leave that out and it would be a good taco seasoning for you. So I'm going to go ahead and make that because I'm actually using this for dinner tonight and I need to get moving with that. I just wanted to show you how much it makes really quickly. So it's about half a jar, and this is about enough for probably 3 to 4 dinners if I use like 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of this seasoning. I don't make more than that because I'm not sure it would last more than like 2 months, so that is plenty for us for the month or maybe even to next month. I cut 2 of the pineapples and divided these up. I have 8 containers. This is really only going to last for about 2 days, so that will be fine in the refrigerator, and then I'll cut the other 2 pineapples after a couple days. I have like a whole fruit market on my table and I'm going to arrange this somehow. I went ahead and washed all of our fruits and vegetables, so we'll have apples for later in the week. We'll probably work on the pineapple first because that might go bad. And I washed all of our tomatoes. I used them for our dinner. And then someone gave me these spaghetti squash, so I washed those and I'll use those for dinner. And then we have bananas, but I purposely got some that weren't ripe yet so that once the pineapple is gone, we can start eating the bananas and the apples, and hopefully that will last throughout the week. I also made some pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. I did a recipe video on this, so I'll put the link for that below. And this makes quite a bit, so I think I'm just going to bake these, and then maybe in a few days when these are about to run out, I'll make some granola bars. And that is it for the week. I might make some granola later in the week as well, but there is a cup of tea with my name on it, so I'm going to close up the kitchen for a little while anyway. Thank you so much for watching.